Hi, it's Vicky here and welcome to the first day of my weekly event featuring Penny Black. Today I'll be using this stamp set with those gorgeous flowers, which is called Divine, and I'll create a canvas. I plan to use this canvas to decorate my craft room, and you'll see that to create my canvases I always use the same techniques that I do for my art journal layouts. Now, I never shared a canvas before, I believe, but I do make canvases just like I do my art journals. I have applied gel medium at my canvas, and now I'm covering up with tissue paper by Tim Holtz. And I'm also making sure that I cover up the edges as well. So I'm adding gel medium again and wrapping tissue paper all over. Now that my gel medium is dry, I'm going all over the tissue paper with some gesso, and I'm just applying a thin wash of gesso. The idea is to have the text at the background, but I want this to be fade out. So now I'll be using my acrylic paints. The paints that I'm using today are Media by DecoArt, and you will find all the colors that I'm using on my supply list if you visit my blog. I'm applying with Baby Wipe my first color all over the canvas as well as on the edges, and this is going to be the first layer actually, so I don't be very particular about it. And now I'm going to create some shading, and I'm using a couple of shades darker blue than the first one, and I'm just applying it with a brush and blending everything with my fingers. It's very easy to apply this paint just because it is especially made for mixed media, and it's very fluid. I'll keep on adding blue at the edges until I'm happy with my background, and then I'll give it a quick dry. I also like to let you know that Penny Black is sponsoring this weekly event with a $25 shopping spree on their website. So if you want to be the lucky winner, make sure to visit my blog and find out all the details about the giveaway. To add some texture and dimension on my canvas, I'm using some embossing paste. I believe the one that I'm using now is the one by Ranger, and I'm going all over the stencil with my spatula, and I'm going to add some white details, mostly at the edges. I'm also making sure that I add some details on the side edges as well. You can be as neat or as random with your stencil as you want. As you can see here, I start randomly adding some texture, but when I peel off the stencil I make sure that I have a nice and clean edge. You can see that it's so easy to do with the spatula. And here is the finished result. I'm going to leave that aside to dry, and in the meanwhile I'm going to work on my flowers. So I'm going to stamp the flowers with archival ink, black archival ink, over this tag. Now I'm using Manila tag by Ranger just because it takes paint wonderfully, and because I need to have a nice and heavy cardstock to work on. Today I'm going to show you a technique that I love doing to create some dimension for my flowers, and first of all I'm going to give them a quick dry just to make sure that the ink is dry there, and now I'll go ahead and use a red and a yellow paint with my brush, and I'll just cover up the flowers. Now I'm not being very neat just because I am going to cut the flowers with my scissors, so I'm just applying a first layer of color there, and I'm not doing any shading at all. You'll see how I am going to shade the flowers at the end. I am coloring the top flower red and the bottom flower yellow. And again, I'm going to link both the color names in my supply list if you visit my blog. If you are watching on YouTube, you can find the URL to the relative blog post just below the video in the description area. I am giving all the flowers a quick dry with my heat gun, and then I'll go ahead and use my scissors and cut around the flowers. So as you can see, I have already cut out the yellow flower once, and now I'm only going to cut out the front petal of the flower. And I am going to use a great technique to give some dimension to this flower, which will pop up and bring this yellow flower to life. Before I stick one on top of the other, I'm going to do some shading, and I'm doing my shading with my big brush markers. This is the orange one, and notice that I'm mainly sticking at the bottom without touching the edges. So I am going to have a nice and bright edge on the petal. I haven't cleaned my mat yet, and I'm holding on to that red acrylic paint just because I am going to use it again in a bit, so don't worry about the mess there. And if you noticed, I haven't covered up the petal with gel medium, and that's because my petal is a non-porous surface because of the acrylic paint. And now for the fun technique, I'm using a mousepad and my bone folder, and I'm pressing at the back of the flower to break the fibers of the paper. I do have a certain set with tools that is especially made for this technique, but I wanted to show you that you can do it with simple supplies that you already have in your house. So you can see now that it's nice and curved, and I'm going to add some gel medium at the bottom and stick it over the other flower. And I just love the effect. I am going to repeat the exact same process for the other flower, the red one, but in this case I'm going to pop up two petals of the flower. So I am going to cut out one petal from this flower as I'm doing now, but then again I'm going to stamp the flower a third time, color the petal red and cut out the other flower. So I'm just using my scraps there, no need to bring another clean tag to do that. Notice that I'm going to cut the petal just outside the line on the right side, and this is going to help me nest the petal beautifully just behind the other petal that is going in front. You will see what I mean once I put the flower together. At this point I'm happy with how curled my petals are, so I'm trying to find out the correct marker to do some shading. However, it seems that I don't have a dark enough red for this technique, so I'm just trying out different things here, but it doesn't really look how I want it to be. So when everything fails, I just go back to my favorite color, the brown marker. So I am going to add some brown there, and you'll see that it will work perfectly. And here are my three-dimensional flowers all done. I just love the outcome. I am so happy with the final result. I am going to stamp the flower on my canvas, but if you notice, this flower bud is going to be stamped over the stenciled white modeling paste, and since I don't want that, I am going to mask out this flower bud with a piece of post-it tape. So I am going to apply my black archival ink all over the flower and remove the masking tape, and then make sure to stamp the flower as better as I can. Just because this is a canvas, I won't get a perfect impression. However, notice how I flip the canvas upside down so I can press at the back. And here you can see that I have a pretty much nice impression, since I am going to stick the flowers on top and nothing is going to show. So now I am going to do some shading on the flower buds. And I am going to use my brown marker for the red flower bud and the orange marker for the yellow one. And then it's time to stick everything on top of my canvas. However, I want to do some shading around the flowers, and since this won't be easy to do after the flowers are stick down, I decided to do the shading beforehand. So as you can see, I am applying a bit of blue ink there with my big brush marker. I don't want to be very heavy on it, and that's why I'm applying over the flower and then push the ink outside of the flower just a bit, so I have a nice and faded shading. I am going to do some shading on the stems as well, and now I'm ready to stick the flowers down using my gel medium. I just love how striking this color combo is. So at this point I'm going to add some splashes, so I'm using my gesso there with a bit of water. And with my fan brush I'm going to add some splashes here and there. But just to make sure that I won't ruin my flowers, I am going to cover them up with a piece of post-it tape. If you're afraid to do this technique, you can always test it out on another piece of paper, and once you are happy with the splashes, then just go directly on your canvas. And also, if you feel that you have went too heavy on a part of the canvas, you can always wipe it off with a baby wipe before it dries. And now I'm going to use these flakes, which are by Prima actually, and they are the mica flakes, the frosted ones. I am going to add them inside the yellow flower. I have applied some gel medium there, so I'm going to stick them down, and they will be visible just a bit. I just love how they catch the light, and it's one of those details that I love to add on my projects. So the project is pretty much done at this point, but I am going to add a few die cuts, and since this is for my craft room, I am going to die cut two words that they really describe what I do. They are both by Penny Black, and they are the words create and inspire. So I have cut them out of black cardstock, and I used my die cutting machine to do that, and now I'm using my gel medium to stick them down. I just love the font of those dies, and I think I'll be using them again and again. And finally, just because I can't leave my gel pen alone, I am going to add some white highlights here and there on the flowers as well as on the flower buds. I hope you had fun today as I created a canvas using my art journal techniques, and what's great about creating a canvas is that you can add as much dimension as you want. Don't forget that this week I'll be posting on Wednesday and Friday using Penny Black supplies. Visit my blog for a full list of all the supplies that I've used today, as well as to check out all the details for the giveaway. And that was the project for today. I hope you had fun and got inspired. And if you did, don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know if you want to see more canvases from me. Thank you all for watching.